There's trigger warnings on this whole darn thing. This is a painful topic for a lot of people. By talking about it plainly, I don't mean to cause additional harm. And if you need to listen to something else, we're talking about this tough stuff, I totally get it. Most welcome you to stick with us. We will try to treat the topics with some sensitivity, but they will be tough subjects, and we will deal with the tough subjects. That we're talking about in the United States of America, when we're talking about incest, is we're essentially talking about child rape. We're talking about a 12-year-old girl who is made forcibly to have sex by a family member, by a brother, uncle, cousin maybe, and requiring that girl, not woman, that girl, young woman if you prefer, but I think they're 12, that's a girl, saying there will be penalty for you or your doctor, criminal penalty for you or your doctor, if you don't take that pregnancy to term. Let's be clear about that. This is insidious. This is immoral. This is not merely a political issue. This is a deeply important moral issue, and it is offensive. And it should offend every American. Let's take Wendy's call. Wendy, you're on from East Rockaway. Thanks for calling.
Hi, how are you? I am absolutely sick about this. All I can think of is that it amounts to forced motherhood. It's supposed to be such a wonderful and beautiful thing, and forcing someone to do it makes it very difficult for a woman to find joy in it and be able to do it the way that she wants to. I'm a mother myself. I have a 1-year-old. I'm 39. I waited till this age so that I'd be able to provide a good life for him, what I deemed to be, a good life. I waited to develop my career and make enough money so that I could buy a house with my husband and have all of the things that we wanted to in order to, provide a good home for a baby. And we did have an abortion back in the day. We did, because it was not the right time. If we had been forced to go through with it at that point, I don't know how happy we would be. I mean, yes, every child is wonderful. We should celebrate every life, all of that business, but I really am so glad that I was able to wait, and it makes me so sad and hurt and angry that there are other women out there who would have to essentially stop their lives because someone else is making the decision for them.
Yeah, because some politicians in Alabama want to build power on the backs of women in their state, and want to force the Supreme Court to make a decision about changing the interpretation of the Constitution to force that same choice in legislatures across the country.
They also just can't handle the fact that there are so many women, who are excelling and doing so. And I believe that Roe v. Wade is one of the things that actually made that possible. The reason why you have more women in the workplace, the reason why you have more women who are, successful beyond the dreams of our grandmothers, for goodness sake. Abortion rights is what gave us the ability to say, okay, no, wait a second here. We're going to be able to plan our lives out so that we can have our cake and eat it too, have the career, and then have the family if we choose to.
This was, Wendy, this was the thing that I was too insensitive to as a younger person. Right, like I knew sort of what my politics were. I still, I wouldn't have disagreed with anything you said, but it really wasn't until, probably my relation with my own wife, and when it dawned on me a little more deeply, where I felt it a little bit more passionately, and even the depth of that feeling happening even more recently, that to just parrot what you said, that we can't have we can't bend the arc of history towards justice. We can't have fundamental equality and we can't understand if we don't address this issue. If women do not have rights over their own bodies, and we can't understand the abortion debate if we don't understand it through a lens of feminism, through a lens of equality, through a lens of bending the arc fist toward justice, and through a lens of exactly what you were saying was a chance for women to have full agency, full control, not only of that choice, but generally being able to shape their own lives. That we have to make sure women are not merely concubines of the state and that dudes aren't making critical and all important decisions. I couldn't agree with you more, and I so appreciate you calling. Please go ahead.
The fact that there's anyone out there making it sound as though the choice and actually going through with an abortion is some sort of light decision is, I think, the thing that really makes me the angriest. Yeah. It's something that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of reflection.
How hard was it for you?
Oh my God, it was hard, but we both knew that it was the right thing to do. I think that we were both kind of coming to the heights of our careers and realized, like, no, if we want to actually have a family, we need to do this the right way. And that was a very difficult decision. We couldn't tell anybody, and then only very, very few friends could we even mention it to. So, there wasn't a lot of support there because of it. But as we got older, or as I got older anyway, I opened up to a few more people, and I started to see, just how many people around me went through the same thing, and how there are so many of us who decided to wait till we were in our mid to late 30s, and some of us who were even deciding to wait a little bit longer. It's such a taboo thing. It's such a scary thing. It's a hard thing to talk about. But, maybe the only thing that may come of this that's positive is the fact that it'll get people talking. I'm calling a radio show, for goodness sake, and saying, very, very personal things that I can't even tell my parents, because it is so important. And I think that maybe if we talked about it a little bit more, it would be easier for women to stand up for themselves and for the men around them to stand up as well.
And for people to sort of be willing to have courage that they might otherwise lack because they thought the courage previously wasn't as necessary.
Yes, it's hard. But you know what? Thank goodness there's enough men out there as well who are truly understanding of this and supportive of, the sisters and cousins and wives and girlfriends around them, because it takes women have to support each other, but men have to support the women as well.
If you had a chance to talk and with a member of the Alabama legislature and recognize that there are other legislators in other states who would jump at the chance to vote in the same way that Alabama legislators did. I live on the West Coast. I still know that former colleagues of mine in the legislature, there are more than a half a dozen who would almost certainly jump at the chance to vote alongside. This is not only an Alabama problem. But if you had a chance to sit down with one of these Alabama legislators, given your own experience, Wendy, what would you want them to hear? What would you want them to understand that you think they might not understand?
I would want them to understand that they were elected to office to represent their constituents, not their own personal religious beliefs. If you believe that something was written down in a book by a deity 3,000 years ago, that's wonderful for you. But you represent many, many people, and the majority of the people in this country believe that abortion rights are women's rights and health rights. It goes beyond just the physical health. It goes to mental health. It goes to so many aspects. And any lawmaker who thinks that that they can impose their own views on this country is a reason for them not to hold the office, and they should be voted out. If they really listen to what the majority of the country wants, that's really what they should be doing as lawmakers.
Wendy, thank you so much for being willing to call. I know that you said that it was not only a challenging thing to do, but a challenging thing to talk about, and appreciate you so much for being willing to address that challenge.
And if we can just say, and I will say it again, it amounts to forced motherhood.